J'ai lancé. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you today through distance. My name is Denis Boissin. I am the director of the Master in Management at SKEMA Business School, and I happily answered to the invitation of join a school in France. Ciali, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yes, thank you. First, maybe to check if everyone is hearing us. I don't know if just to check the sound. Hello, everybody. Can somebody tell us if it's all right for you? Yes, perfect. Thank you, Maria. So, thank you once again to Marine and Denis from SKEMA Business School to join us today to discuss the Master in Management. I'm Siali ASSOUS. I'm an international project manager here at Join a School in France. Join a School in France is a part of the French Chambers of Commerce, and we work with 5 great business schools to promote their master in management programs. And SKEMA is here today to discuss it with you guys. So please feel free to ask any question, and we'll be more than happy to answer the questions at the end of this presentation. Maybe I'll start by introducing the join a school in France procedure or process. So, as I said, Denis will introduce himself, but he is the Grande Ecole program director at SKEMA Business School. So he is really the person to have today to discuss this master in management. So lucky us to have him today. Thank you, Denis. And Marine is the international admissions manager at SKEMA Business School. So if you have any question regarding the application process, she'll be more than happy, I'm sure, to answer the questions. So join a school in France. What is it exactly? As I said, it's a part of the French Chamber of Commerce, and we work with 5 business schools: SKEMA, Adoncia, EM Lyon, ESCP, and HEC. We help them promote the program of the Master in Management. That's the main program we work for at Join a School in France. So obviously, if you are interested in other programs, you need to get in touch with the schools directly through their admission services. But for us, it's one application and the possibility to be accepted by 5 business schools. That is great. It means that we make it easier for you guys to apply. One application, just 10 documents, one fee, and 5 great opportunities to be accepted in this in this program at these business schools. So we work in terms of application processes. We work on the basis of rounds. So currently we are at round 4, meaning that you guys, if you want to apply to the Master in Management program, you can do it by applying through our website, and you have until May 2nd to send your application. And then there's a whole process until the end of June, and I'll be talking about it very shortly. There's a whole process to be eligible and admissible for an interview. And I'm sure that Dennis and Marine have all the details as well. So feel free to ask your questions. What else? So as I said, we work in terms of application process, we work in rounds. And what the application exactly and what are we looking for? The schools, all of them, and SKEMA in particular today, are looking for a student with an international profile, meaning that for a Master in Management program, you need to be either an international student studying abroad or a French student whose degree is obtained outside of France, meaning a French student with an international background. That's really the main criteria for this particular program, the Master in Management Grande Ecole program. The schools need international academic backgrounds, either international student or French student with international experience and international academic backgrounds. Then, what about the process? The process is quite easy. As I said, you just need 10 documents. You can find all of these details on our website. So you can check our website and upload the document we are asking for. And what are these documents? They are first the generic ones, meaning your passport or ID. Then you got your picture, headshot picture, the CV, the CV, and then we need two recommendation letters. At least one of them should be academic, meaning that we can have two academic recommendation letters, or just one of them and the other professional or coming from an internship. Then what we have as well is the transcripts or the grades that you got. So all the years, the 3 years, if you graduated, or the 2 years, and a certificate of enrollment of the third year. Then we need your degree or certificate of enrollment as well. So that's required. And then there are two very important documents that are the English test and the English test and the management test. And that, I think that Denis and Marine will have some explanations for us, because we received a lot of questions about that, about the differences between them and all of that stuff that I think we are going to discuss a little bit later. So so English test, meaning it can be the TOEIC, the IELTS, the Cambridge, the TOEFL, and the management test. That can be the GMAT, the GRE, the TAJMAT, or the CAT if you are in India. And at the end, of course, a valid proof of payment, meaning the Join a School in France invoice, meaning after paying 200 euros for your application, you'll receive in your email a payment invoice that you need to upload on in your application. So for the management test, as I said, these are very important documents. So I wanted just to talk a little bit further about them. So we said that the schools accept the GMAT, the GRE, the TAJMAT, and the CAT. So for these particular management tests, time is your best friend, meaning that you really need to take it in advance to try to have the test. Not all the tests have a lot of sessions, so you really need to be prepared to take the test and have them in due time. So then you have um, and obviously for the management test, you need to put join a school in France as one of the recipient for the GMAT. For the GRE, you just need to put one of the business schools in your test as the recipient, and it's all okay. For the English test, as I said, we accept all kind of English tests. I know that we have a lot of questions about these two tests. We're going to discuss them further. You don't need any English test in two very particular situations. If English is the language of instruction, meaning that you studied in English to get your bachelor or your degree, and if English is the official language in your country, if you come from Canada or the United States, as an example, you just need to put your passport, and it's a valid statement of that. That's for the, um, the language test. And then the proof of payment, or the payment invoice, is this one. I know that sometimes we receive other kind of documents, but please pay attention that we really need this particular invoice with all the information in it. You can just have it in your Join a School in France account. It's very accessible. Otherwise, we can help you get it. What else? Um, then, how is the procedure going? We don't ask, or the schools decided not to ask any motivation letter or for that application. They decided to ask you 5 questions. So these are 5 questions that try to really summarize your personality, your achievements, your goals as well. So you just need to answer them in the platform. So very shortly, five very particular questions and accurate questions. No cover letter needed. Um, then we got the process. So here you apply through Join a School in France. Then we send your applications to the school, and within 2 weeks they publish their admissibility result. What we call admissibility result means that you are invited for an interview. If you are invited for in an interview in just one, at least one business school, you can come and have your interview in one of our centers. As an example, for session 4, the admissibility result will be on May 24th at 2 p.m. Paris time. Okay, so very important. The deadline for the application is May 2nd. The admissibility results are for May 24th. That's the key date to keep in mind here. Then, yes, about the interview. So if you are admissible, then invited to an interview, you need to know that we have more than 50 interview centers all over the world. So if you are an international student, we really make it easy for you guys to have an interview in the best conditions. We have interview centers in China, India, all over Europe, in the US, in Asia as well, as I mentioned, but also in North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and so many other countries. Who is being part of the jury members? These are our alumni. By alumni, we mean former student of these 5 business schools, and who are now working in such different fields, being CEOs, working as teachers, scholars, being diplomats, entrepreneurs as well. So it's very, very important for us that our interview or jury members are people who studied in these schools, because they know them best, and they can help you at the end of the interview to better understand the academic environment of these schools. Um, so for the interview center, what is important is that you choose your interview center. If you live, as an example, I put it here, if you live in China, but are not in China at the for the interview, you can choose another interview center. You can, if you are in Paris, as an example, you can choose Paris as your interview center. And all of these information, obviously, you can find them on our website. What else? So yes, the interview, what is it really? It's just 20 to 30 minutes. It's a 30 minutes conversation with our jury members. It's in English, obviously. And in this interview, the jury members are trying or will try to understand your background, your syllabus, as well as, I don't know if you see, do you still see the presentation? I think it's gone. Is it gone? I
Yes,
don't
the
know.
slides
It
are
is
gone.
gone.
Okay. Is it back?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Um, I'll try not to be too long. Yes. So, as I said, the interview is here to get to know you more. So they will be asking questions about your personality, your career goals as well. So feel free to be yourself and to really explain your project, your goals, to talk about your internships, your personality. What do you expect from the schools? And you need, obviously, since it's a business school, you need to be aware of news events around you, general knowledge, obviously. So you need to be prepared. And for session 4, the interviews will be held from May 26th to June 6th. And here again, you'll be able to choose the date that match most your schedule and plannings. Uh, then after the interview, we send all the interview grids to the schools, and after 2 weeks they'll get the result. They'll publish the results. So for session 4, it's June 15th, and that's really a date to keep in mind. June 15th at 2 p.m. The schools schools will publish their results and will send you all their platforms links to check directly on their website. So that's a very important date to keep in mind. So any admissible candidate will have an interview, and after the interview, they will receive um, the result from the school. So if you are admissible to, let's say, 3 business schools, you'll have just one interview for all 3 business schools. And on June 15th, you'll get 3 different admission results. You can be admitted in all 3 of them, which is great for you, or one of them, or obviously none of them. That's the main thing about application process. What else? Yeah, if you need obviously any information, we are. I'm a part of a team of international students. So there's me, and there's Leonor and Maria. All of us are former international students, so we quite know what are the challenges and opportunities that France has to offer when you are an international student. So feel free to reach out to us to ask your questions. You can write to us. You can call us on WhatsApp. We've got all the details that you may need, or obviously we'll get in touch with the schools and get back to you with more questions. And obviously, if you really are interested, you can start your application now. You have until May 2nd to send us your applications or send us your questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. That's it for me. Hopefully, I wasn't too long. I tried to do my best to be as concise as possible. So maybe Marine or Dennis will take the lead now. Who want to start? The floor is all yours. Let's hear about schema.
Thank you very much, Ciali. Indeed, it's interesting to understand how the joiner school in France is allowing you to present 5 schools. And obviously, I'm here with you today to talk more in detail about the Master in Management of SKEMA Business School, which we call in French, sorry, Programme Grande Ecole or Grande Ecole program when we want to make it sound international. But Master in Management is the best aspiration. So I've been the program director for the past 2 years now, but I've been involved in the program for over 6 years. I've been given somewhere around 30, 40 minutes, I believe, to present, and it's much too short to share with you all the opportunities you may have by joining the Master in Management program. So I really insist, do not hesitate to ask your question in the chat space so that I spend some time specifically on what matters for you. Schema is a unique school in France. SKEMA was the first merger of 2 French business schools. Historically, nobody had done it before. It has been done since. So it's interesting when you have a disrupting strategy to see that other schools react this way. And we are very famous today in France, at least, for being a true multi campus business school. We have 3 campuses in France: Lille, Paris, and Sophia Antipolis. Sophia Antipolis is the #1 technopole in Europe. So it's a center that allows research in all areas: perfume industry, automotive industry, and so on. It's unique in Europe. And we have 4 campuses abroad that are open to Master in Management students, namely Raleigh in North Carolina, United States, Belo Horizonte in the Minas Gerais in Brazil, the campus of Stellenbosch in South Africa, and our Chinese campus of Suzhou, which I had the pleasure to be the director for 4 years. So my heart is still somewhere in China, and it's a very interesting campus to experience. I mentioned that to you because it's quite unique. Oh, the slide is moving by itself. Up. I mentioned that to you because it's quite unique for you. Um, when you join the Master in Management of SKEMA, of course, you're allowed to do all of your studies in France, and we're happy to welcome international students in France. But keep in mind that you'll have all the possibilities of any PGE Programme Grande École student. We do not make a difference between international students and French students. So, like any student, you can stay in France or you can enjoy moving throughout our campuses. So if you're coming from China, you can spend a year in France and then you can go abroad into the US or into Brazil and come back to France and so on. So I'll comment that later on, but I think it's a unique opportunity among the 5 schools that are in the joiner school in France. And I'm a teacher in economics. In economics, you learn to be rational. If we were rational, every time we open a new campus abroad, we would reduce the opportunities of international academic partners. Let's not be rational for the good of our students. We keep developing our network of partner universities. So currently, we have 160 partner universities in 44 countries, and we operate 18 international double diploma with those universities as well. So by joining the Master in Management of SKEMA, you have also the opportunity of those experience abroad as well as those international double degrees. So you can get a degree from both France and Italy, whether you come from China or from Ivory Coast, or I don't know, wherever you are listening to us from today. A few figures so that you understand. SKEMA is a big school by French reference. If you come from the US, you can have a smile. If you come from China, eventually also. But currently, we have a little more than 10,000 students. And almost half of them, 45% exactly, are master in management student. So it is the main program of SKEMA Business School. In total, we have more than 50,000 alumni in 145 countries. And what's interesting is that the network of, because when you join a master in management, of course, you're coming for the quality of the courses and the education we provide, but you're also coming for the corporate relations that we have and for the alumni network. And our alumni network is alive. That's the best word for me to describe it. They're involved in the program. You have access to the alumni as day one as a student. And that's quite unique also. So you're connected to our alumni network. Our teachers, over 500 professors, including 190 in the academic faculty, 50% of them are not French. So keep in mind that SKEMA is in France the most international business school you may join, including from our students, but also from our faculty. So our faculty is coming from all over the world and is experiencing what you will experience by joining in France. And you know what? A lot of my faculty doesn't even speak French. So you'll be in a setting that's quite interesting for you to experience. Rankings are important. And so I share with you a few figures. We're a top 5 French business school today. As you can see on the right side in the French ranking, we are 6 in one ranking, 5 in another one, 5 in another one. We are the most stable with one other school in France, HEC, I can give their name. We're the most stable across different rankings. Many schools are ranked 4 in one ranking and 8 in another one, and so on. SKEMA, which means that across all the criteria of different rankings, we have a stability. We're very homogeneous. So no matter what aspect of a business school is important for you, you can have a guarantee that the quality will be with regard to that. The international rankings are better than the French rankings, and it's interesting. Let's make the story short, but SKEMA is 15 years old. We came with a new model of education. We started with a blank page 15 years ago because we felt we needed to be in phase with the world. You know, this new world, which we call VUCA in English. I don't know if you're familiar with that: volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, complexity. And we needed to completely challenge our model of education. And this is what we did 15 years ago. Nobody understood what SKEMA was doing then. So for the first 5 years, we just built up our model. We learned from our mistakes. We made mistakes and we learned from mistakes. That's how you learn the most. And in the next 5 years, the international ranking starting to go up. There was an international understanding and recognition of our program. And this is what you have on the left side. I am considered by The Economist the fifth best master in management worldwide in 2021. So definitely it was interesting. And for the last 5 years, we've been gaining one rank every year in French ranking, which is unique. No other school had done that before. So it's to show you, I'm not a big fan of rankings because rankings end up summarize a lot of elements. And this is why I'm doing this type of live, is to answer specific questions. Okay. But it's interesting to see this homogeneity across ranking. So, and a few accreditations. Let's get into the program. So basically, you will be joining a 2-year program, which is the master component of, so that you understand, the Programme Grande Ecole in France is a 3-year program. There is one pre-master year for the French student, and then there are the 2 years of the master degree, which you will join thanks to your bachelor, your banquet, and so on. So those 2 years, the first year is dedicated to managing the complexity in a global business environment. This is the code that will guide the teachers across all the disciplines they will share with you. In the second year of the program, you will develop an expertise. We have more than 50 specializations to choose from. But what is unique in a master in management program as opposed to a master of science, for example, because I often get the question, which one makes more sense? You have the capacity to do a gap year, meaning that for 1 year during your studies, you can work in two different companies in France or abroad. So it's very interesting because if you want to build up your project, if you want to maximize the opportunity to be recruited, we give you this chance in the Master in Management program. But also, and it's very important for me, we are the only French business schools who offers you specific tracks in the first year of the program. Currently in English, we will offer artificial intelligence for managers, finance and quantitative tools, and strategy. Those tracks are not pre-specialization. They can be if you want, but they can also be for you the chance to experience one area and then later to decide of your specialization. So you see, we work a lot on your orientation. So when you join us, you may have an idea of what you want to do, but you may not know everything that is possible. And so we offer you the capacity so that 25% of your courses, of hours of teaching, will be in link with the choice of track that you make. And artificial intelligence is a topic that we've been teaching for the past 5 years. So I love the moment we're living through. Everybody's like discovering ChatGPT and so on. No worries. At Schema, we've been familiar with everything that was coming up for the past 5 years. And intelligence for managers is definitely for me a great opportunity for you because tomorrow you can specialize in the second year in marketing. You can specialize in human resources. You can specialize in finance, but be prepared to integrate artificial intelligence in your future job. This is unique at Schema, and it's a true expertise. And if you allow me to go back a few slides, if you see in Montreal, Canada, it's not a campus. You cannot go and study there. But when 5 years ago we decided to teach artificial intelligence is just a new calculator. It's a new invention. It's a tool for managers. We decided to have the support of the best researchers across the planet. And there is one locus of research in the world, which is in Montreal. So Schema has opened a center of research in Montreal. We have faculty in Montreal who's doing research in artificial intelligence directly employed by Schema Business School. And you know what? They design courses, syllabi, content, exams, and everything that they send me to bring into the program across our 7 campuses. So this is how we do things at Schema. We look for the experts, we go where knowledge is being designed, and we build courses around it to train and form our students. So that's to share this component, which is a specificity of Schema. So if you have an interest in artificial intelligence, Schema might be a good idea for you. If we look into details, what does it mean? Alors, to me, this schematic is crystal clear, but I know that when I share it with other people, I may need to explain it. So I'll do that, no problem. Can I get an arrow if I do that? Up, voila. I think you see my arrow. So this is the
Absolutely.
first year of the program. This is the second year of the program. So you need to read from top to bottom. The first semester
Okay.
has to be on a French campus. So that's the moment where you're guaranteed to be in France if you want, no choice. But then, as you see, across each of the following campuses, you can stay in France or go on another campus of Schema Business School as you wish. During the first year, you may, in the middle of the 2 semesters, have your gap year. It's not mandatory, it's an option, you have the choice. So that you understand, in most business schools in France, the gap year is mandatory at the same time for everybody. I do not believe in this type of approach. I want you to build your education path so that it fits your ambitions and your expectations. So this is why the gap year is not mandatory. You can do it like the tradition during the first year of the master. 85% of the students do that. But, and it's unique, you can do your gap year during your second year of the master. And guess what? My program is 100% semestrialized. Each semester is independent from the other semesters. It's not a yearly program. So actually, and it's impossible to show on the schematic, you can even break the gap year into 2 semesters. So you can go in a company, come back to school, and go again in a company if you wish. The gap year is very traditional in France, but usually there is only one way to do it. At Schema Business Schools, you have 5 ways to do it. And this is just to show you our philosophy, how I design the program. My job is just so simple. My job is to design for my students the program I would have dreamed to have when I was a student. So that's how I build up everything. So it's like Lego, it's like blocks. You arrange them in the order that you wish. So in the second semester of your master, you can go on a campus, in a partner, and so on. There is also apprenticeship. International students are welcome in our apprenticeship program. The apprenticeship program in my second year of the master degree is almost 1/3 of my students. So it's a huge program. You spend 2 or 3 weeks in a company, 1 week at school. So it's very interesting because you mix the practical and the education. We have 5 different specializations. It's not because you do apprenticeship that you don't have a specialization. And when you do apprenticeship, the company pays your tuition fees, plus you get a salary. So it's very interesting also for you maybe to consider if the financing of your studies is a question that you may have. Apprenticeship works for it, but apprenticeship is not a cheap program. I insist on that. It's a selective program of high quality students, and it's very successful. In terms of employability, it's the most successful. So it's important to mention. I know that in some other schools, it's not always available, apprenticeship for international students. My philosophy is very simple. Once you're a master in management student, you have the same rights as any student in my program. There is absolutely no discrimination based on how you enter the program and so on. This is a list of the Masters of Science at Schema Business School that you can access in the second year of the master. And guess what? If you hesitate between a Master of Science and the Master in Management of Schema, by doing the Master in Management, you can get a double degree with a Master of Science. So that's the interest we give to our Master in Management program. You are guaranteed to have a double degree with a Master of Science of Schema if you wish so. It's not mandatory. Once again, you start to know me now. I don't like to make things mandatory. So it's an option. 95% of my students take this option. So I let you read through it. And if you have any question, really don't hesitate to use the chat. We also have double, triple, or academic diplomas with other institutions. For example, we operate an MSc in artificial intelligence for business transformation with ESCEA, which is an engineering school based in Paris. So you spend 6 months in the engineering school and 6 months at Schema on the Paris campus. It's a very interesting program. You know, when internet came up, I know I may look old to you, but when I was your age, internet did not exist. Look at the world. Look how it transformed every single job and company. What we're doing now would not be possible just 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm getting old. Well, artificial intelligence is exactly the same thing that's happening. So we want our students to be ready for the business transformation that goes with artificial intelligence. This program is huge. I can comment every single of those programs. They're just perfect. Global luxury and management it's a partnership with New York University. You spend 6 months in the US, 6 months in Paris. You get a double degree, American and French. It's a very highly praised programs by company groups like Louis Vuitton and so on recruit our students. You have supply chain management and procurement, which we cooperate with the MIT in the US, luxury, hospitality, and innovation with the Ecole, the French education of hospitality, of restaurants, of hotels, and so on. Product management and UX design with Politecnico di Milano, the double degree, Italian and French. Entrepreneurship and design for sustainability, also with Politecnico di Milano. One of my favorite, the triple master. It's a little longer. You need to plan to extend your studies by 1 year, but you will get an MBA from Loyola University in the US. You will get, of course, the Master in Management of Schema, and you will get a master degree from Ludwig Maximilians Universität. It's the number 1 or number 2 German university depending on the rankings. It's the German university which has the most Nobel Prizes amongst its alumni. So it's a high quality degree to train future grand managers, as we call them. Then you have the academic diploma in digital marketing and business and management of entertainment with UCLA. So everything looking at music, the movie industry, the series, the Netflix, and I need to quote another ones. I don't know, the Disney Plus channel, whatever. This type of business. And finally, the last one, which is in entrepreneurship with Berkeley in the US. This is just a few because I know my time is limited, so I cannot list every single one of them. But it's to show you one thing. The Master in Management of SKEMA Business School is a set of opportunities that open to you. See it this way. And we will follow you semester by semester. You will make a choice every semester for the next semester and allowing you to get the best training to guarantee that you access your professional ambitions. This is what we want to work on. Today, 99% of my students have a job within 6 months of graduation. Well, when you're looking at top 5 business schools in France, this is the type of number you need to have, of course. So now I'm very transparent. I'm not from marketing. I'm a program director. I'm a teacher. So this is a second figure I share with you. This is what I work on. 80% of my students signed their contract before they graduated. When I started working on it 2 years ago, it was 61%. So you see how strongly we work on it. 4 students out of 5 know they have a job even before they finish classes. So that's very important. And not any job. I don't want them to take any job they find. No, a job that suits their expectations. Our average salary in France is 47,000 euros. So I only share data with France because, of course, when one of my students gets a job in Hong Kong, it's a complete different salary than when he gets a job in Colombia, for example, or in Brazil. To give you an idea, the average of French business school is 39,000. So you see there is an added value to Schema on your first job, and it keeps going on throughout your career. 2/3 of our alumni are in international positions. It's difficult for us to say that they work abroad because if you join us and you get a job in France, well, you're working abroad, even though you're in France and Schema is in France. So you understand that we talk about international positions, and the biggest companies are recruiting us, of course. I am very happy not to be alone today. Of course, there is CLE who introduced himself already, but there is also Marine who was presented. Marine,
Absolutely.
may I leave you the floor to
Yeah.
clarify the specificities of Schema in terms of recruitment?
Sure. Thank you, Denis, for this great presentation. It was very interesting. I really enjoyed it personally. I hope you guys did too. So, just to remind you, my job at Schema is to help the students basically with their admission process and registration process. So, now I will just cover the registration and admission procedures that you have to follow. So, just a reminder, for the profiles that we are looking for at Schema to join our Master in Management, students that are under 27 years old, you might be already so international students. So it's either you have an international bachelor degree or you have a French bachelor degree, but you spent at least 2 years abroad. So you have to prove it with your transcripts, and we will check that. But if you, I don't know, you are international, but you studied in France and you studied as well 2 years, I don't know, for Erasmus or whatever abroad, it's okay for us. We really, really look for people who want to develop their management skills and an expertise in one or several disciplines. As Denis mentioned, you can specialize in so many fields that basically we really are looking for profiles and not just what you have done before, the transcripts, the grade that you had, but also your interest in developing your knowledge and in being proactive, basically, in what you learn and what you apply. Um, to move on the application process, sorry. So basically, we have two main routes. The one Jazif Journal School in France will be just after this one, but basically, the first process would be directly for Schema Business School. So if you apply with Schema, You can just fill your application. It's directly on our website. Everything is online. But you apply just to SKEMA Business School because you want to join this program. The process is quite simple and quite similar, I would say, to join a school in France. The application fees is 100 euros, and we will review your whole profile. After that, you will get an interview with Denis or one of his colleagues to know if you are admitted to SKEMA. It takes more or less 2 weeks to know if you're admitted. And just bear in mind that we don't have any deadlines. So if you want to apply to SKEMA and I don't know, you missed join a school in France, but you know it's SKEMA and not another school, you can apply even after the join a school in France deadline. So it's really all year long. And once we close the applications, it means then is that the class is full, basically. We don't want to overcrowd the classes. It's not the goal. The goal is really to put interaction at the center of the teaching and learning experience. So that's our deadline is when the classes are full, basically. The documents are almost the same. The transcript, we need the TAJMAJ or GMAT, so management test. English language, we also have, if you happen to not have your English test ready, we have an English test that we can send you for free and online. So it takes 20-25 minutes top. And with that, you can also proceed to your application. And then very easy CV, cover letter, photo, and letter of recommendation that you can ask either from your bachelor or even professional experiences. It's very important for us. The second route is with joining a school in France. I will not repeat what has been said, but just to remind you, it's to apply for several schools at one time. The application fee is 200 euros and you have specific dates. So for now, the next session would be on the 2nd of May. Just remember for what I said for the English test, it was possible to have the online English test provided by SKEMA. For joining a school in France, you cannot. So just to separate the two processes, I would say. Just to cover the tuition fees, so the whole master in management is 34,000 euros. And if you choose to have the optional gap year, you will add just the 1,000 euros to cover that, but you will not pay an extra year at SKEMA, even if it's part of your studies, because you will apply what you learn and it's really in the process of learning, but it's just to cover this. You can pay an installment, of course, and if you are admitted, you can have a merit scholarship. We also call it excellence scholarship. It's on your academic profile, basically, the grades that you have, your motivations, things like that, that we review, and then we give you this scholarship. I will let Denis talk about some services that we have at SKEMA, and I will be there into the chat if you have any more questions for that.
Thank you very much, Marine. Yes, maybe to mention things that are in addition to the education and the program itself, I selected a few. First, I wanted to talk about SKEMA Ventures. SKEMA Ventures is an incubator and an accelerator. So if you wish to be an entrepreneur while you're a student or once you graduated, you're welcome in SKEMA Venture. SKEMA Venture is present in each campus of SKEMA Business School. This is unique. You can think about your idea while you're in France. You can prototype your business when you're in Brazil, and you can launch it when you're in the US if you wish to. So this is quite interesting because it crosses the world. We have around 400 proposals every year. We incubate about 200. So it's about half the projects, but it's a lot, 200 per year. What we are very proud of, because let's be clear in terms of values. We do not want to train students for short-term opportunities. There is business to make, there is money to make, we agree with that, but this is not what we're looking at. We're looking at building up a true society, a sustainable society. So when we work with students in creating a business, it has to be with a long-term goal. And we're very proud because after five years after their creation, 91% of the businesses created still exist. So it's very interesting, and it shows you that we work more on a long-term approach. So this service is available to you. I also wanted to mention, of course, I said it earlier, the corporate relations. We have over 2,500 partner companies. We publish every year 56,000 internship offers, and we have around 10,000 students. So you see that we're here to provide um, job offers, internship offers, and so on. We have recruitment events. There are events on every single campus every week. Companies come, they talk about their job, alumni are coming as well, and so on. So this service will be available to you. There is coaching. Once you know what type of job you want, we can have a specific coaching, how to apply for this type of job, and so on. And the alumni, which is very linked to that. Because our alumni network is quite big, we have created clubs. So, for example, there is a club dedicated to environmental transition, in which the alumni who work in that field are concentrated and we interact with them. There is a club dedicated to strategy consulting. So, if you're into that field, you connect with those alumni. So, we have divided our alumni into subcategories, into clubs that they animate themselves and so on. So, it's very easy for you to connect with the right alumni and not to be lost in the mass of 50,000 plus. A few people that are very present and involved. Meng Jiaogu, for example, who joined us with the ambition of working in finance. We have a master degree in financial management and institution, which is number 2 or number 3 in the world, depending on the years and the ranking. And so she joined us, and she's now in Luxembourg. We have Benjamin. Benjamin is an entrepreneur. He created his business. He's a sailor at the same time, so he'll go around the world in the Vendée Globe next year. So we follow him on that. So a true sportsman. Jean-Philippe Courtois is the EVP and president of Microsoft now. He's number 2 in Microsoft. He's an alumni, very present. He comes at the graduation ceremony. He gives advice. He talks to first-year students and so on. So very involved. And I won't go through all of them. Some of them I've had as students. Some of them I discovered as alumni. So they're very active and involved. And students clubs also. This is very important for me. When I joined the Master in Management program 6 years ago, I discovered that traditionally student clubs are open to French students and international students at their own clubs and so on. I don't like that. So I broke all of this logic. All the student clubs, there are over 80 of them. They're open to any Master in Management student. So you're welcome to join the eSport club if you're into eSport, or the finance club if you're into finance. SKEMA Conseil, it's a junior advisory consulting company. It is the only consulting company from students which is based in France, in the US, and in Brazil. No other junior consulting company in France had done that before. It's a challenge for them, but they want to adopt the schema model. Our clubs are independent. We don't interfere with them. The structure belongs to the students. Legally, we have no interference possible. It's their decision. They do whatever they want. And it's very interesting to see how they decided to have the same model as schema. Hope is dedicated to environmental issues and humanitarian issues. They have 3 trips organized this year to build a school in Southeastern Asia and so on. And they're across all campuses as well and so on. So I just listed a few, 7 of them that you have here, but there are over 80 of them. And it's very important. And if you're an international student, you can be a member, you can be a president. And this is a very good link for me because we are not alone. We also have the pleasure to be joined by Brahim. It's a real pleasure, Brahim, to have you along with me. I remember you from being in my office. It sounds like years ago. And just why Brahim is here, because you start to understand I can talk for hours. I am passionate by my program. I love it and I work every single day for it. But there is somebody who can speak even better than me about my program. It's any one of my students. And so today it's Brahim who's here with you to share his experience of the program, what he went through. So Brahim, the floor is yours. I'm just so happy to see you again, and I'll be listening to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Denis, for this warm introduction. Hi, everyone. So yeah, my name is Brahim, and of course, I was like thinking about the same, like remembering the time I was on Sofia Antipolis campus, and I asked for an appointment to Denis, and I was thinking, about my orientation and what to do at SKEMA, because we were presented also a lot of opportunities. But as a student at the beginning, it's a bit, frustrating, because you don't know exactly what you can do, what you can achieve. And so honestly, I'm gonna just share a glimpse of my background and the experience I had at SKEMA. I'm not linked. I have no role at SKEMA. I'm not paid by the school. By the way, I'm connecting from UC Berkeley, which is the partner of SKEMA, and it's 8 a.m. on the morning. So really, I want to share it. This experience. It's personal. So I take some time this morning. So first of all, I think, yeah, I'm going to start with my background, because I think it's also important to know that, when Marine and Denis says that SKEMA welcome like different backgrounds and different specializations, it's true. For me, so I have a literary background. So I am not a math guy. I'm not a finance guy. I was not supposed to do a business school at the beginning. And anyway, I succeeded in my, early years at school, and then I entered SKEMA. So about the path I choose at SKEMA. So first, maybe I can take the slide that was well done. I don't know if you can see this slide with the different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I can take the same with my pointer. Do you see my pointer on the screen?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Great. So right now, as I said, I am on my final semester, S4, M2, and I am on the 1 year specialization with a double partner. So I am with UC Berkeley, namely. And I choose this background here because I really wanted to deepen all the aspect of strategy and innovation, entrepreneurship. I could talk a lot about that after, if you have more questions. Then slightly before, for my M1, I choose to do a gap year. So as Denis said, between the first and second year of school, you have the option to do a gap year. Personally, I found an internship in Dubai at Accenture, so in strategy consulting. And by the way, this experience was really also, like, of course, amazing, but it was thanks to the alumni network that I found this opportunity. So again, when we point out, different numbers and the network of the school, it's true. At least in my case, and in the case of like a lot of my friends at SKEMA, they find their opportunities thanks to the SKEMA alumni network. And then before that gap year, for the M1, I did two different experiences. The second semester of M1 was on the Brazil campus in Belo. And the first one was in Sofia Antipolis, as I said, when I also met Denis and the management PGE team. So just to give you a couple of thoughts about why I choose SKEMA, and after we can jump on the Q&A, I'm more than happy to provide more information. But as Denis said, I was also rational when I decided to, do this choice. And I looked at mainly three things, I would say. The first one was, I think, the dynamism and the perspectives of the schools that I was preparing for. And when, Denis and Marine said that SKEMA is unique, it's true, because I have, even now that I have more experience with the business school environment, I have no comparison with other schools that have such projects of development in the world. Because right now, we don't have much time and we don't want to disclose everything, but I'm pretty sure that new campuses will open around the world very soon. Also, I remember a quote from one teacher in the first year that I wanted to share with you. His name is Frédéric Munier, if you want to follow him on LinkedIn as well. But he said, choose the school, and you choose a school that will be better after you graduate than when you join at the beginning. And in my case, it's true, because I joined 3 years ago, and now the school jumped 3 places on the rankings. Now we open new partnerships with UC Berkeley. This is just amazing. And we are positioned as HEC, as ESSEC, as the big names here in the Silicon Valley. When I say that I come from SKEMA Business School, I do 1 year at UC Berkeley, and I have all the advantages of the global school, they say, oh my God, I wish I've known this school before. So I'm pretty happy about that. And also, yeah, the values were super important for me. I remember one presentation of Denis when I was preparing for the, yeah, just the application for the schools. He said, I'm not here to sell the school. I'm just here to give you our strategy and what we want to achieve together. And all about, multiculturalism, respect of diversity, global mobility, um, excellence. This is something you can see in the school. Like, I have friends I met on the Brazil campus that are Chinese and that now want to go to France, and they ask me advice for finding, a great place to live. In the opposite, I am at UC Berkeley right now, and I met American students that wish they can join, like the Raleigh campus one day, in at SKEMA, and they also like are friends of mine. So this, spirit of multiculturalism, diversity was also super important because it's beyond, school and work. It's also something we want to see, in companies tomorrow, and something that is super important to me. So that was that. And finally, because I have not, much time, but yeah, I also like joined one club that was Schema Consulting, and I was super happy to be the president of this junior enterprise. So again, if you have question about that, I'm more than happy to answer them. But having this opportunity to lead a team, a global team, because one of my project was to launch and to set up the junior company in Brazil and in the US with the support of the school. That was just amazing. We had around $300,000 in revenue. So we do like consulting project with companies, with entrepreneurs. We are hands-on and we solve problems, and we all only have 20, 22 years, 24. That's just amazing. So yeah, that's just a glimpse of my experience. Just to finish with that, three advice that I wish I had when I was preparing for the schools. The first one is like connect on LinkedIn with some of the students and just follow the PG management team, Denis, Marine, also, Alice Guillon, which is the head of SKEMA and the dean of SKEMA, which is just, by the way, a super inspiring person, because she launched this school. And it's just like when you prospect for a company or a club, you want to know the head of the club or the company and the school. So please just follow her on LinkedIn. You will know much better about the school. Second is check also the SKEMA websites with all the clubs that are listed and the information of the programs that are super helpful. And the last one is also like to check all the additional information you can find. For example, the scholarships. I am also a recipient of the excellence scholarships, and I needed that for my schools, for my experience also that was provided because of my results. But it's also something the school is super attentive for. And last thing is the strategy of the school. Just type Sky 25, the strategic plan of the school, and you will learn much more about SKEMA and all the great experience. So I hope it was not so long. And yeah, if you have more questions, I'm happy to share my details and to just answer all your questions.
It was inspiring. Congrats, Brahim. Congrats.
Thank
Very,
you.
very, very good experience. Very good profile. Dennis,
No,
you
no,
you
thanks
can
a lot,
finish your
Brahim. It's
presentation.
it's it's so great to hear the students a few years back, and we've known each other when you were in Sofia, and to see, this is why we do this job. When you work in higher education, I mean, you're not working for profit. It makes no sense. Schema is a non-profit education center. It's an associative status, which means we do not belong to any private group. Our administrative council, the top management, the people who are above Alice Guillon, is 2/3 of alumni. So we entrust our alumni with the strategy of the school. This is a unique model. And the best reward, why we do it, it's not for the money, it's for students like Brahim and hundreds others that I remember from day one, and we just make sure they reach their ambitions and they get the best of the program. So thanks a lot, Brahim, for sharing with your heart. And as you mentioned, being here at 8 a.m. in the morning for a student is just pure testimony that you wanted to share your experience. I love
Thank
it.
you so much for that. Yes, that's true.
We
And
don't
you
have
guys,
any questions in the chat, so I don't know if students are too shy or
um,
too impressed.
I,
We had the
yeah,
contact of Brahim. You're
yeah,
welcome to contact Brahim through the contact. There is Marine who is with us today. Pauline is normally the contact of Join a School in France.
yes,
Sadly, she could not be with us today, but you're very welcome to take her to contact, mobile number, WhatsApp contact. You can book an appointment with her. I'll put down my email in the web chat. You're very welcome to send me any email, any question if you're shy, no problem. And as Brahim told you, connect with the students. No matter what school you're looking at, connect with students. They are the best ambassadors. They'll talk directly to you with their own words. And this is important to get a feeling of the values. Values are very important at Schema. Respect of diversity, of differences. Society builds up on differences. Democracy, the debate, the sound debate. It's quite difficult in France right now, but this is what should guide us in building up sustainable society. So, in any case, thanks a lot for being with us today. I do not see any question. Siali, you tell me we're at the limit of time, so I don't want to
yes.
over.
Just 5 minutes if we can, because I really managed to assemble some questions that we got.
Okay.
Some students couldn't make it today because of exams, and we can understand that obviously. But they did send some emails to ask their questions. If you just allow
Mhm.
me to ask some of
With
them,
pleasure.
since yes, Denis is the person to ask today. So first, one question, and it was more to join, but I'm happy to answer it. It was about the interview center. They wanted me to say what I mean by interview center. Interview center all around the world means partners that we got and help us to hold the interviews. It can be Campus France, it can be the French embassies all over the world, the French institutes, the French alliances, or the French chambers of commerce, or even the schools' campuses. As an example, Schema sometimes help us hold some interviews abroad. So that's what I mean by interview center. Then one very recurrent and relevant question is about the school's direct admission portals and join the school admission portal. They want to know if there's a difference, if they should be applying with join or with schema. So maybe Dennis on that, if you have some answers to give.
Alors, I often get this question in terms of selection, criteria of
Yes.
selection, and so on. They are exactly the same. I made sure that there is no difference in selecting the students, no matter if you apply through Join a School in France or direct application. It's important for me. Something I did not mention, I've been also in charge for the past 6 years of all entrance examination of Schema across different
Okay.
programs, BBA, and so on. So, of course, I apply the rules, and discrimination is an issue. So, there is no discrimination. Marine mentioned there is
Hmm.
one English test that is available through the direct application. It's not available through Join a School in France. And of course, the interest of Join a School in France is if you are interested by 2, 3, 4, 5 schools, then from an economic perspective,
Mm.
it's more interesting to apply through Join a School in France. But there is also the question of deadlines, and I saw the
Mm.
question of Aaron in the chat space.
Yes.
Of
Mm.
course, Aaron, if you want the schools of Join a School in France, then maybe you have to wait for the next session next year. If
Mm.
it's schema, we usually open until the midsummer, end of July or something like that. Huh? Like Marine mentioned, I have a quota, I have a number of seats. I
Mm.
do not want to go over. It's important for me. The Master in Management program of Schema is not looking at recruiting more and more students every year. I'll be clear with you, I recruit less and less students every year. So it's not a quantitative approach that we have, it's a qualitative approach. This is quite unique also. Huh? So when I tell you we're not doing it for profit and money, you understand that we're working also on figures. So as soon as I have the number of students, I close the recruitment. So of course,
Okay.
around the earlier the better. But honestly, early July, mid-July, you'll still have a few seats available. So you're welcome to apply for fall intake. And of course, we have a spring intake as well. Yeah.
Very good. And I tend to say that the schools and join are partners and not competitors. We work
No, no.
together for the best interest of students, obviously. And another question is more about the minimum scores for the English test and the management test. Does schema require any minimum score?
No, there is no minimum score required. We consider
Okay.
all the elements of the application. We give a grade to each of them, and it's the total result that will determine your admission or not. I know in
Okay.
some other schools it's different. There is a
Hmm.
minimum expected in each score. We do not apply this philosophy at Schema. So if you're a little better on your management test and a little weaker on your English test, they will compensate.
Very good. And is there any particular test that you would like to
I often
advantage
get
more
this
than the
question.
others? Yeah,
Yeah,
me
often they ask this
as
question
well.
of which
Yeah,
test is the best to be selected. So
absolutely. Yeah.
once again, since I'm in charge of all the entrance exam, I have accessed huge databases from each test, and I have standardized the evaluation so that there is no difference across the test. There is not
Okay.
one test that will give you more points than another one for the equivalent level, and I challenge and review this grading scale across 5 different tests every year. So I want to make sure that I do not favor a student because TOEFL is available in his country and in another country you have only access to TOEIC. So it's important for me that to maintain an equality across the evaluations. Now, if you ask me from a teacher perspective, I have a
Hmm.
preference for the TOEFL. The TOEFL is more an academic English. So as a teacher, that's what I enjoy. But if you ask someone like Brahim or Marine, if you're looking at business, TOEIC is a very good test. And
Okay.
we propose at Schema iSIMS. At SIMS is very based on oral English as opposed to written English. So it's not a matter of the test being evaluated differently by Schema, but I think what is interesting for you is to choose the test where you will perform the best. If you're better in business English, go for TOEIC. If you're better in academic English, go for TOEFL. If you're better in oral English, go for iSIMS.
Okay. I have a question from Wasim, who's in Algeria. He's studying French literature, and he would like to know if his profile as a student in French literature matches with the Master in Management program.
Brahim is the living answer to this question.
Uh, I was
Yes,
happy to hear his
we
experience.
we
So Wasim will,
welcome we
yeah,
welcome students from a literature background. I wish I had more candidates, so you're really welcome. And today I'm very happy they represent 10% of the students who join Schema. So it's
very
not
good.
one or two students. Today I'm up to 10%. It's a little higher than when Brahim joined us. He was more
Mhm.
lonely, I think, at the time. But this is something I've been working on. You know,
So
artificial
students,
intelligence is like learning a new
yes,
language. So when you come from a
okay,
literature background, it's actually quite natural to go into artificial intelligence and so on, as when you come from a mathematical background. Schema is not a school that puts all of the selection on mathematics. This is the case in some other schools. It's a true choice that we make at
mhm,
Schema, and we put as much on languages as we would put on the mathematical background, for example.
okay. So there is no need to be coming from business majors. You can come
Absolutely
from
not.
any.
I
Very
have
good,
I have physics major, biology major,
very
philosophy
good,
majors. I mean, yeah, I love them. They bring
excellent.
diversity also.
And I
You
have
know
an
what? I had a
sorry,
student,
yes.
you know that program I showed you in artificial intelligence with an engineering school?
Hmm.
I had a student from a literature background who finished number one in the group in the cohort of students in that program. So
That is
everything is
terrific.
possible if you have the willingness to work for it.
Very good. And I have an Indian student whose name I forgot, and I'm really sorry about that, who asked me if international student needed to speak French to apply. Do they need to be French speakers?
Absolutely not. Like I
Okay.
mentioned, some of my
Hmm.
faculty does not speak French. Now, just be careful if you plan on apprenticeship. I I I don't think it is possible to do it if you don't speak French. I'd be very surprised. I've had international students do it, but they learn French. I had one student from Yemen. She spoke no words of French when she joined us. She worked very hardly on her French language skills and she got into apprenticeship. So I know it's possible, but
Yeah.
apprenticeship is one where companies based in France expect you to speak French, even if they're Chinese companies, American companies, and you don't have to work for a French company. But it seems that it's the only difficulty I still have. Otherwise, you don't need French. We just speak English all day long.
And does Schema offer some integration courses or semester for international students?
We offer a very short program. International students are welcome, I think, 3 or 5 days before the other students, and they have specific programs, intercultural programs, opening a bank account, accessing to a phone. I don't know what you call that, but a French phone, so that they pay cheaper, anything they need to settle down. We have housing that is pre-reserved also for international students, so we can accompany them on the housing issues. We're very present for housing. Even if you go for private housing, we can help you. And then there is some intercultural mixing and discovering of the area and some of the French culture and so on. So we do that for a little less than a week, and then they join the other students.
Okay, I see here a question. So from Yang, he's saying, if I'm not well prepared and want to be more competitive, but already submitted my application to join, can I recall it before the deadline? And so the question is, can they apply both ways through join a school and through Schema? Is it possible for a student to apply through the different at the same time to the different portals?
Alors, officially, no. And this is not accepted in French regulation. You should not
Okay.
do it. And we look for it. So be careful. This strategy may lead you to the fact that we expel you from both entrance exam. So this is not what you want.
Okay.
So I let you
So
answer Ciali on the fact of retracting his candidature.
yeah,
I don't know about that, if you can do it or not.
I don't have any information about, but I'll be more than happy to write you an email if you can have my email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And
I
that's
saw,
another question. Yes,
yeah.
go, Dennis.
No, I saw another question. I don't know if that's the one you are
Uh,
gonna ask. Often I have students who tell me I already have a master degree. Can I
that's it.
join? Yeah,
Can they
there's
have
no
a double
problem.
degree? I think.
Yeah, there's no problem for me. You can join us and still do another double degree. So that would be a triple degree for you. Just be careful. I have an age limit on this
Mm,
program. Voilà. It's not an executive program. We have executive programs and so on. So it depends on how old you are. It doesn't depend on what degree you have already, but it depends on your age. Sometimes you're 30 years old and you only have a bachelor degree. It happens. You cannot apply, but you can be a 23-year-old, have already a master degree, and you're welcome to apply.
Okay. And one question that I got is what the schema student profile? What do you expect from a student, an international student mainly?
I think there was something called a profile, but um, what we expect is curiosity, the openness of mind, to be I call it hungry or thirsty for knowledge. Voilà, Brahim is smiling. I think he knows what I mean by that. So if you're
It's true.
hungry, if you're eager to learn, if you don't think that you know things already, the intercultural diversity is important. You know, when French students go to another country, the usual French student, they tend to think that French do things better and the way things are done differently is not a good way to do it. That is not a schema student. The schema
Okay.
students, they go abroad with open eyes and they look at, oh, that's how Chinese people do marketing. Oh, that's how people do marketing in the US. I know how I do it in France. Let's merge it. Let's take the best of 2, 3, 4 worlds. Brahim went through France, he went through Brazil, he went through the US. He's going to keep the best of all those cultures. And I don't even know where you come from, Brahim, in fact. What country are you born in?
And I was born in France,
Ah, you're
so
born in France. Okay, I wasn't
oh,
sure with your name. I actually never
yeah.
asked you the question, so voilà.
And no, and by the way, something also that we don't speak about because we don't have much time, but is like also we have class connected with other campuses. So you can be, for example, in France, and also like, you know,
Very
being connected with the Brazilian campus and so on. So yeah, it's truly a global experience.
Mm. So
and very
that
good. And
yeah.
yeah, Dennis, go.
No. Sorry. I don't want to cut you. I have a
No,
delay.
go. You
No,
can
no. I
finish.
was. That's all I was gonna say. No, and in terms of values, to be ready to work. My job is
Okay,
to give you the means to reach your ambitions, but I will not work for you. It's not gonna be for free.
okay.
You'll pay it with sweat and hard work. Voilà.
Okay, and just to jump in on Brahim's experience and profile, I had a lot of questions from a French student wanting to know what is really the requirement for a French student. We said that we want an international profile with a degree obtained outside of France. What about the experience abroad? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years?
Yes.
How
No,
Schema handles that?
it's 2 years minimum. 2 years minimum.
Okay,
That's
abroad.
very important for us, and 3 years is
Okay.
really welcome.
Okay, very good. Very good. I'm trying to read if I have other questions that I got about the scholarships. You've mentioned them, so you really talked about them. Maybe the campus, but I think you answered Dennis
Alors,
earlier. What
yeah,
campus should they
honestly,
choose?
we have three French campuses: Lille,
Okay,
Paris, and Sophia Antipolis. For international students, it's usually Paris or Sophia Antipolis.
okay,
Sophia Antipolis is a very international environment. We have over 100 nationalities in Sofia, so English is spoken everywhere, so it makes sense. And Paris, of course, is when you're looking at the true French experience, the Emily in Paris that you will discover in reality. Voila. But so we have this year, I think I have only two international students who asked me to go in Lille, and it's true that Lille is very French. So if you don't speak French and experiences in Lille is a little more complicated, I understand that.
okay. So mandatory to be first in France, and then they'll
Yes,
have to choose another campus
yeah, for
abroad.
one semester only.
Very good. Very nice. I had a question for the language of documents. So obviously this is for join. You can send them in English or in French. Both ways work for us. So no worries about that. So I really thank you guys. Thank you, Denis, Brahim, and Marine. You really made me want to join the Master in Management program at Schema. So I'll maybe in your class, Denis, next year.
That
I think
works for me.
I'm a bit old for
I
that.
was not
Uh,
going to comment on the age limit
yeah,
for you.
but I can say it. I can say it. I'm a bit ill, but thank you so much. It was really vivid. Brahim, your experience is enriching and inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Hopefully, it will help a student decide to join a Schema and other business schools here in France. Welcome anytime in France. We'll be happy to have you here. Marine, Denis, Brahim, do you have any other thing to say before we say goodbye?
Just one thing, dare to apply. Find the school that fits you. If it's Schema, I'm very happy. If it's another school, no problem. Make sure
Mm,
that you have a critical vision of the school. That's what Brahim told you. Look
absolutely.
for
Yeah.
values, look for program, look for students. Find the best school for you. There is no absolute best school. There is a school that suits you. I believe Schema suited Brahim. That's why Brahim is happy to share today.
Yes.
Okay, so that's important for me. Find the right school for you. Forget a little bit about rankings and so on.
Very good. So I don't have anything else to say. I think you said it best, and I will finish with this. Thank you so much. Thank you, Denis.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
the
Marine. Thank you,
invitation.
Brahim. Thank you, everybody. We'll be happy to help you. So you've got our emails. You've got Marine's emails, Denis's, Pauline's, and mine. And my colleague here at Join the School in France will be more than happy to answer any question. There is no bad question. Any question is welcome, obviously. Thank you so much. Very best of luck for everybody, for all the students, and hopefully we'll see you here in France very soon. Thank you, guys.
Bye bye. See
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.